So, hi friends. Today we'll be having a discussion on Netflix case study, and I have a few of my friends who have come in here to join in. And I'll introduce them. He is Shivam Malviya. He is an engineer and has worked in TCS and has worked extensively on his own startup. And then we have Divya, who is currently pursuing her PhD, is an also a movie buff. Hi Divya. And then we have Ishika Sood, who is a creative thinker who has practical outlook for life and a traveler by heart. She is a BCom graduate and has a keen interest in marketing. Then we have Tanmay. Tanmay is the master of all trades, and yes, he is good in dancing, anchoring, cooking, you name it, and he is good at it. And he has his own newsletter named Whiteboard. And then we have with us Akhil, who is an avid reader, and you can talk to him at any length regarding any philosophical topic, and he is there to talk to. And he has done his engineering in mechatronics.
So the case in hand today is about the Netflix pricing decisions that they took in 2011. As far as history is concerned, we have already recorded a video. We can put the link in the description as well as a link to the article that will give you the history of Netflix. Right now, what we want to decide is whether, or rather the things that we can discuss on is whether was it a pricing problem, did they not price it well, if not, then what are the problems, or was it a communication problem? Because we'll also list, there is a link in the description as far as the message that Reed Hastings gave to the members or other subscribers of Netflix, and you can see the kind of message that he gave and analyze it to yourself, which we will in the later part of the discussion. Or was it the timing problem? Because the things were just moving out of a recession. America was moving out of the recession in 2007, and it was just 2011 when things changed. So people were very, very price sensitive. They are price sensitive now as well, but they were very price sensitive at that point of time as well. And or was it a problem of market research before taking a decision? Because in one of the articles that Reed Hastings said that they did not even know whether the focus groups as far as pricing is concerned took place or not. So it was just a direct move for the pricing on the customers without taking their preferences into consideration. As far as the suggestions that the analysts gave, which is basically have a two price model or make it a single price model or lower the bundle pricing or abandon the unlimited streaming. There are other alternatives that we can also explore outside the case, and this is what we learned at an IIM to do. Your case is not the only reading that you're supposed to do. You need to explore what is happening outside. You need to come up with ideas outside of the case as well. So maybe we can start with the communication problem. So if you look at the video or the letter that we'll also put in the description, you'll understand that the kind of tone that Reed Hastings expresses, which is his usual tone in most of his letters that you may read on the internet, it's very direct. It does not take consumer into perspective. It's more about, so Netflix is doing this for you. Netflix is doing this. We want this vision. It's more of a we approach and not a you approach, which is something that people do not really commend. As CEOs, you are one of the biggest point of contacts as far as consumers is concerned, and I believe that when you are expressing your views or such a drastic shift in your pricing, a you attitude in your speech or your letters is highly recommended. If you study the book about Netflix culture called No Rules, you'll understand the kind of, and this will give you an insight about why Reed Hastings behaves the way he does. And he operates in a culture, or rather he set a culture in his organization which is only for high performing individuals, and it is very task focused. If you're not focusing on the task, they'll give you a heavy paycheck as far as the severance is concerned, and they'll kick you out. And that is exactly what Reed Hastings expresses in his newsletters.
Reed Hastings should have told the audience, and instead of increasing the price immediately and going for 7.99 for the online one, streaming one, and 7.9 for DVD one, what he could have done is he would have gone for the third, solution that the analyst gave him, that start with 2 movies free, and the third one you will have to pay per movie charges.
Do we all agree that the cost, the price increase was necessary?
Yes.
Yes.
It was.
Based on
In the
what?
longer run, it is absolutely necessary. So for an organization, even you can take an example of Jio, right?
No, the reason I'm asking why is because if you look at the balance sheet of 2011, their revenues is what, 2.1 billion, and cost of revenue, I mean, yeah, the cost of revenue is 1.3, even though they're running both of these services parallelly. So it doesn't seem that obvious that they have to make that decision right away.
I would like to put a point. I agree with your point that we need to change the pricing strategy, but the way we changed the pricing strategy was that a good way? Was that a necessary way? I mean, changing a price at such a
Nearly
like
Drastic point.
just double.
But there is a reason why.
I agree with the point that yes, Jio increased its price, and yes, there is no way to the keeping it at a free cost. But yes, Jio also increased it step by step,
Right.
not drastically.
What do you want in a product? You will always see the best of the best at the least
At
price
least
possible.
Right.
And if you give it for free, why would someone want to take? So you need to take such drastic decisions in order to make your organizations better for the future. You cannot keep a
So
myopic
do you
point of view.
think it was right to like double the price?
Not necessarily. So
Do you believe a step-by-step process was
Exactly.
So that's what I mentioned in the early stage. That
The
they
two
could have
movies
gone
per
for the
week.
third movie
Mhm.
at the least price, because as you did, in the end, this cycle has to be broken.
At a point that I think so that they had to incur more income. They wanted more income basically was because the movie studios, they were also moving towards the fact that they realized that there are going to be, like on online streaming, anyone can watch any number of movies.
Exactly.
And that's what the studios came into picture. So what you can see in the case as well, they have mentioned that 2010 they had spent something around 780 million, whereas they had spent 2.1 billion dollars to just acquire the rights for the movies in the next year itself, which is 2011. So I guess that was necessary.
So cost is
that's
going
the
to rise.
that's the thing.
Exactly.
So when it says in page 7 that analysts have estimated that Netflix would have to spend around 2 billion per year on just acquiring rights. The entire revenue of Netflix was 2 billion
I
the
agree
previous
with your
year.
point.
So it makes sense that they would double their subscription.
But as we
Pay
can
per
see in the
subscription.
case study also, the cost went drastically down for Netflix, as the main portion was given as the users usually pay the service providers for streaming, but the cost which Netflix for streaming basically was very less for Netflix.
$0.5.
0.5.
So they can do like that,
But
because for DVD model there was a high cost incurred by Netflix, but for streaming the cost was very low comparatively. So they can, but one thing they could do, for example, for streaming they should not charge directly 7.99. They should charge but little bit. So meanwhile people get addicted to somewhat this online streaming, and then they will get ready to pay for some more amount.
Because the production house is already lending the rights for the movie and all out to other networks. So you're buying from a second party who's gonna charge immensely higher because you're directly into his profits while you're streaming.
You are encroaching his market.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we all agree that the pricing was justified. Only the means of pricing. Okay, you have different means of pricing it. You believe that communication gap was the only problem.
So these are some of the aspects that we have covered, right? And this is actually what we wanted to showcase. That whenever we are preparing for a class, this is how we prepare for a class. We sit together, we discuss things out, and then we discuss our points with the professors. And this is the taste of the kind of discussions and the preparations that go behind the class. So it's pre-prep for the pre-prep for the preparation of class. It's not just the case. We go outside the case. We kind of try to find faults in the case by relating it to what is happening currently, what the company did. And we, all of us, because we are from different and divergent backgrounds, we bring in different aspects of the things that we think about the case.
It's like reading in between the lines. We are
Exactly.
reading the gap between the words.
And also having different perspectives is the key thing that we learn from each other every day while discussing different cases from different subjects.
And we are trying to put up every subject in one subject.
Kind of.
Marketing, finance, and OB in.
It's just
Obviously, they are kind of interlinked.
So yes, it requires all the domains like economics, finance we did. Then there is the actual thing was about the pricing, but also the marketing part of it, and eventually how Netflix fared into the business of streaming, where it is now making its own content. And I guess we have pretty much got all the gist of the case over here, and hope you guys like this one. Thank you, and thank you guys for joining in and pitching all your great ideas. It was really an interesting
It was
conversation.
an experience for us as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
thank
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.